All right. So hello, welcome, and happy Wednesday. Thank you all for joining us today. Welcome to this month's webinar, which is management tools to make you a more effective fundraiser. I'm so excited to co-present this webinar and moderate the chat for all of you with our wonderful presenter, who I will introduce in just a moment. We're excited to have you because this webinar is going to explain how to effectively use management tools to help you assess and understand your donors' needs and drive success for your organizations. Using the Fundraising Academy cause selling cycle, you will be learning the fundamental steps to discover your donors' needs, vision, and values so you can match them with your organization's mission and overall vision. We'll be learning how to create more effective donor presentations that clearly demonstrate impact and develop effective tools to steward and retain your donors. So I'm so excited to have you all here. If we go to the next slide, I would love to share for those of us who are joining this webinar series for the very first time, and we are all here for the first time in 2023, a little bit about our organization. So Fundraising Academy Cause Selling Education prepares nonprofits and their fundraisers for greater measurable impact by providing learning opportunities just like this one, designed to enhance your cause, your community, and your world. So before we get started, I will be sharing a couple housekeeping notes. This webinar will be interactive with a lot of opportunities to ask questions and provide insights during as well as after in the Q&A portion following the presentation. So you'll want to submit any questions you have for our presenter in your Zoom controls using the Q&A option. But in the chat, we will be asking you to engage with us during the presentation. Another update I would like to share is that closed captioning is available for this webinar. To enable this setting, you will click the CC options in your Zoom controls, and if you would like, caption size can be adjusted in the video settings under accessibility. You will note that you can see myself speaking here in the CC as well as our presenter, who I will introduce in just a moment, both for all access in any type of learner. And as you can see on the screen, I'm Sarah Wu. I'm the program manager here at Fundraising Academy, and I will be serving as your moderator. And next we have our presenter, Jack Alato. He's a trainer for the Fundraising Academy. He is a CFRE, a certified fundraising executive, and throughout his career has served in a large variety of fundraising positions in hospital, social service, arts, major gifts, and legacy giving, managing foundation and corporate relations. So Jack is a true jack of all trades. He has taught a variety of fundraising classes for a number of different organizations, and we are so proud and honored that he is a trainer here at the Fundraising Academy. So Jack will be kicking us off with our webinar objectives, and I'm so excited to have him present management tools for making us all more effective fundraisers.
Great. Well, thanks so much, Sarah, and welcome everybody. I see friends, previous CFREs from Newfoundland and other places in Canada, as well as the US. Remember, one of the really important things that we do at the Fundraising Academy is we provide you with continuing education credits for your CFRE designation, whether it's coming in the future or you already have it. You can get continuing education credits. This is an exciting topic for me because we all utilize fundraising tools in our work. If you're the executive director of Habitat for Humanity, you may use the following tools. You may use a strategic plan. Your strategic plan is your way of finding navigating your organization over the next year or next 2 years. Fundraisers use development plans or solicitation plans. Here are three really important plans that we all use. Rosso's concentric circles as a way to find prospects. It's really important. Some of you probably use the donor pyramid as a tool. And some of you may even use a gift range chart. So there are lots of tools. Today, we're going to talk about some of the tools we have in our cause selling relationship building cycle. And as Sarah said early on, interrupt, raise your hand, chat, go to chat, tell us what you think. We want this to be one of the most interactive webinars we do since it's the first one this year. Here are some of our objectives today. We want to give you some tools to help you in your prospecting for new donors. We want to help you with some tools that you are going to need to create great donor presentations. This is the part where you go and you demonstrate your organization's impact by presenting your cause, whether it's a nonprofit dedicated in the arts or whether it's a nonprofit like Habitat or any social service organization that you may have. Then we're going to help you find some tools to make the ask and close the gift. And we are going to give you some tools to steward donors and increase your donor retention rate. This is really such an important thing. So as we go through, when we were putting this together, Sarah and I, oh, Lord, I found so many tools. We had to shorten it down to just 3 parts of our cost selling cycle. But before we get started, I want to hear from you guys as to how many years have you been in fundraising? Now, I see Heather's in there. I think she's been in fundraising, I don't know, 20, 30 years. Come on, Heather, let us know how long.
All right. So I have our wonderful tech guru here, the Fundraising Academy. Faith Martin has launched a Zoom poll you will see pop up on your screens. Feel free to engage in the Zoom poll with your colleagues so we can see, Jack and I can see, who is in the room. So the question we have for all of us is, how many years have you been in fundraising? You will choose between the options of 1 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 15, and 16 plus. So the responses are coming in. I also see, thank you for engaging in the chat. 3 months is not an option on the poll. We are so, and today is our second day, your second day, Jarek. Well, welcome. We are so excited to have you new fundraisers and engaging with us. You are in the perfect place to learn. So go ahead and fill out the poll. I'm going to give it just a few more seconds. We look like we have a large spread here, Jack, of people who are new to fundraising. We have 15% of our attendees have been in fundraising for 16 plus years. So we're excited to engage with you folks on either end of the spectrum and everywhere in between to share your knowledge with our group. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and have our technical wizard end the poll, and I will be reading aloud the results. So we have, for the 1 to 5 year fundraisers, 38% of our audience is in that group. We have those who have 6 to 10 years experience, 27% in that group, and 11 to 15 years experience, 20% of our listeners are in that group, and 16 plus years, we have 16% in that group. So we have a large spread of experience, and I'm so excited to have you all joining and learning with us. So Jack, take it away. I think management tools are for everyone. Whether you've been in this position 1 or 2 days to 16 plus years, everyone will get something out of this webinar.
Yeah, and those of you who are seasoned fundraisers, please feel free to share tools that we may not talk about today in chat, because Sarah will interrupt me if there's some great tool that really works for you. Let's share. We're a community of fundraisers. Let's share what we know. But let me start by telling you about the cost selling cycle. So the cost selling cycle has 8 essential steps, and there are lots of fundraising cycles. CFRE has one, Hank Rosso has one. There are probably 25 or 30 fundraising cycles. I'm just going to talk about this cycle today. This is where all of the process to find prospects. So I'm going to talk about some tools around prospecting and qualifying prospects. Phase 2, this is all of those face-to-face meetings that we have with prospective donors, where we approach them, we discover their needs, and then we present. I'm going to talk about some tools that we use in presentation. And finally, the third phase of our cost selling cycle is everything after you receive the gift. And I'm going to talk today about some tools that you would use with your stewardship of donors. And there are some great tools out there. So I'm going to keep it to just those 3 modules as part of this cost selling cycle. As I said, when I was putting in this together, I noticed Sarah and I were looking at it and it was huge. And we said, we can't talk about all of these tools that we have in our cost selling cycle, but we can talk about some important things. So now we're going to do another community share, and we want to hear from you any tools that you have found that are particularly helpful in your fundraising efforts. Let's start with prospecting, or when you present to your donor, or even stewardship. So please let us know what they are. And Sarah, you're going to monitor chat for me, and let's share it out, guys.
Yes, go ahead. We don't have a poll for you, so we would love to engage with all of our wonderful fundraising experts in this room in the chat function. Our question for all of you is, are you using any tools now to help you with your fundraising efforts? Jack broke it down the way that we will have this webinar in 3 different phases. So any tools that you use for prospecting, or maybe any tools that you use to help you be really effective in your presentation, or perhaps any tools that you use to steward your donors. So I'm going to read out aloud some of the responses that we have in the chat, but feel free to keep them coming. We are a wealth of information here at Fundraising Academy, but we are better together. So we have Michelle, who shares iWave as a tool. I'm not familiar with that one, so I'll have to check it out. Bloomerang, a great entry-level CRM. I love that tool. We have Identified, which is a smart prospecting and relationship mapping tool. Wealth Engine is a tool that we have from Kate. Network for Good from Monica Santos. Thank you, Katie Pearson mentions. I know that's a stewardship tool. Instrumental, Amy notices that's a tool. I have another vote for iWave. Donor Perfect. Custom Impact Reports. I love that. Canva, a tool for quick and easy graphic design. A management tool, intros from current donors and board members. That's a really great prospecting tool. I have Razor's Edge as another CRM tool. Salesforce. Another vote for iWave here. Double donation for workplace giving, and Classy for online campaigns. Spreadsheet for tracking prospective donors. Oh, a parking lot tab for those who I might want to return to. Love that. So we've got a lot of experts in the room. I feel free to check out the chat, but those are just a few of the themes I'm seeing, Jack.
And they're all great. And, a couple things that stand out to me is, one is the use of your database to find prospective donors. Many of the participants in today's webinar is using that space as a technique to find potential donors. One of the things that I love about using your database, one of the things that we hear all the time around major gifts, all of the potential major donors for your organization are in your database. I've heard that so many times and read that in so many places. So, but today I'm going to talk about these 3 tools for prospecting that we find in the cost selling cycle. By the way, someone said I ask my major donors and I ask my board members. I mentioned Rosso's concentric circles. Well, they're right at the center of that model, that tool of finding prospects. And we also talk about referrals in the cost selling cycle. So we believe that referrals is one of the most powerful prospecting techniques in fundraising. And here's the thing, when I did major gifts for when I was working full-time for a nonprofit, one of the things that I would do is I would go to my board members and I would say to them, hey guys, do you know anybody in your network, in your circle of influence, who might also be interested in this mission that we are talking about at our nonprofit? Do you have any referrals you would make? The other group of people that I would talk to would be current major donors or volunteers or just donors saying, do you have anyone in your circle, in your network or your circle of influence who might be interested in learning more about the mission of our organization? So that referrals is really a powerful tool. The reason why I think we believe that referrals are so important is because it provides you with leverage. If Sarah is on my board and she says, Jack, I know John Smith, and I think he might be interested in learning more about the organization that I serve on the board of, that tool is such a powerful tool. Because when I call John Smith, I could say to him, hey, John, I got your name from Sarah Wu, who's on the board of our organization, and she felt that you might be interested in learning more about our organization. The other leverage that she provides when she gives me the referral, I could say to Sarah, Sarah, would you consider calling John and trying to set up a coffee for the three of us to talk about our organization's mission, vision, values? So another powerful tool that we have is centers of influence. And guys, I got to tell you, in my consulting practice, I've met with board members, I've met with major donors, I met with staff of nonprofits, and I say to them, introduce me to your circle of influence. Let me help you find new donors, help me prospect by you introducing me to their circle of influence. And without a doubt, many people say to me, but Jack, I don't have a circle of influence. Guess what, guys? Every one of us has a circle of influence. It might be the other parents where we drop our children off at preschool. That's our circle of influence. We can also get referrals from there. So circles of influence are really important. And circles of influence don't only have to be from board members or current major donors. They can be from volunteers or those who believe in your cause and who are interested in introducing you to those potential prospects. The important thing about once we get prospects, then what do? Okay, so I got this name from Sarah, John Smith. Then what I must do is qualify the prospect. And what do we mean by qualifying them? Well, we use a very interesting tool at the cause selling cycle, in the cause selling cycle, called the Madden test. That's our tool. It's really important. What does Madden stand for? It stands for money. A is for approachable. D is for desire. The second D is for decision maker. E is for emotion, and N is for need. So what we do with this tool is we try to rate our prospective donor as a way to qualify them by going through this Madden test. So what is money? So here's the thing. The first thing that we have to determine is the donor or the prospect's potential or their giving capacity, their ability to make a gift. There are ways to determine potential based on whether an individual is an established major donor to another organization. That's a really easy way. You could Google them. You could look at them and see if they're giving to similar organizations. You could look at their social circle as a way to engage. You could look at their profession, their family name and reputation, and their attitudes. Somebody put in there wealth screening. Guess what? That is a great tool that you could use to find out donor capacity. So the first thing we want to know in the Madden tool is, do they have the giving capacity? Can they make a gift? Wealth screening is a really important thing. The A in the Madden is, are they approachable? Can you get an appointment? Potential major donors may not answer your phone call. Let's take an example. We know that Bill Gates has capacity, money. He has money, but that's great. So we fulfilled one of the requirements of our Madden tool. But is he approachable? Probably not. So approachable is also a key thing. Do not hesitate to ask for help when there is a real possibility of gaining an important donor. For example, with Sarah, if Sarah says, hey, I know Bill Gates, I'm going to ask her to introduce me to him. I'm going to say, hey, can you get a meeting with him? So the second thing is approachable. Can you get an appointment? And remember that first thing, referrals from volunteers, board members, other major donors, even staff members like your administrators. That's the way you could get a meeting. The third is desire. Does the prospect have a real interest in your organization or any interest in donating to a nonprofit? I think that desire and interest is really one of the most important aspects of this tool. Do they have a desire and interest in your organization? There may be some people out there who fit the money, they have giving capacity, they are approachable, but they're not interested in the cause that you are presenting. So you have to determine whether they have the desire to do it. One of the ways you could do that is looking at other organizations they give money to. If you're the ballet company, if you find that Bill Gates, who is a friend of Sarah's, also gives to like the opera or to a museum, then you know that they may have an interest in your art form as well. Decision maker, that's the second D. And I'll tell you, in my career, this has been one of the epic fails that I have made over and over again. And I'd love to hear from you guys if this has happened to you. Have you ever sat down with a donor and you make the ask and they say to you, I need to talk to my spouse before I could make a decision, or I need to speak with my children, or I need to talk to my accountant or my attorney or my banker? That means that they're not the decision maker. So the fourth part of this tool, known as the Madden test, is to determine whether they are the decision makers. And here's the thing. If a donor says to me, Jack, thanks for asking for the gift, but I really need to talk to my spouse, what am I going to do next? I'm going to set a meeting and make sure that that spouse is invited, because this couple is making a decision together. Once in my career, I asked for $1 million from a guy. We were sitting at lunch, very wealthy guy. He had made very large transformational gifts to my organization. And during the course of the lunch, I asked him for $1 million. And you know what he said? I need to talk to my children as well as my spouse. So it's really important to know who needs to be in the room. That's an important tool. Who needs to be in the room? The E in the Madden test is emotion. Not every gift is made from intellect or emotion. Most nonprofit giving arises out of an emotional interest or connection to your organization. We saw this over and over again during the pandemic, where people were giving large sums of money to help feed people who were having issues with nutrition or food deprived or whatever. The final N in this Madden tool is to determine whether they have the need to donate to your organization. whether that need will be satisfied by making a gift to your organization. So I'd like to hear from you guys right now. Any questions you have about these potential you could use for any, how do you what tool do you use to determine interest? How do
Wonderful.
you get referrals from your potential board members or other donors?
All right, Jack, I do have some things in the chat and also some notes I wanted to share with you. So I love that Jack has gone over these 3 tools for prospecting, whether it's referrals, center of influence, or using the Madden test. We have comments in the chat about the Madden test, which I think is an impressive tool that we have here at Fundraising Academy that can help us for prospecting. Janet mentions it's an easy mistake to assume that someone is a decision maker. During qualification, this listener notes, I tend to ask, how and with whom do you make your philanthropic decisions? What a great question. I think that's wonderful to ask on some of your donor visits. And Jack, I'd love your thoughts on that as well.
Well, first off,
On
let's
how to
give Janet a
determine the
gold
decision
star.
maker.
Janet, you get a gold star because you fixed that question when you asked that question. How are gift giving decisions made?
Yes.
Really an important question. I love it. And that really helps you with determining who is the decision maker or what group of people help make a decision. Go ahead, Sarah. Sorry.
All right. And then we have another kind of question or a clarifying elaboration point from Katrina, who asks if we can elaborate on N, need. Would you mind elaborating on that last part of the Madden test, Jack?
Yes. So determining the need that donating to your organization will satisfy for a donor is not always apparent. It's not apparent how, if they really need, if they really want to help mitigate homelessness in your community, that's a need. Their need is to help mitigate or take people off the streets and put them in permanent housing. Okay. You must ask questions to determine need. And what we say in the cost selling cycle, the way to determine need is by asking open-ended questions around discovering what their need is in donating to your organization or any cause that you may have. Once you ask the question, the next tool that you bring to that conversation is to listen. What does Judge Judy always say? Put your listening ears on. And she always does this kind of thing, which I love when she does it. That's aside. But so you have to listen and listen carefully to determine what the prospect's giving motives are in order to understand and uncover their need for engaging with your nonprofit.
Yeah,
So
I think that's
ask
the
questions.
key. Engaging with your nonprofit. So we have kind of a follow-up question on that same theme where Gabriella asks how need is different from desire. So I wanted to highlight a few points. Jack mentions that need is really a discovery process, right? We talk a lot in Fundraising Academy's cause selling cycle about discovering needs. So a donor's need may be more simple than you think. It may be that they their need is that they have a hidden motive of really feeling like they want to be recognized. That might be a donor's need. But they may have an emotional need. Yes, they may be transactional. Bethany mentioned perhaps a tax break or a minimum dispersal from a foundation. Those are all completely valid needs that a donor may have. So you may have to do some discovery work to really hone down on that need.
Yes.
How it differs from desire, I believe, and Jack, go ahead and speak to this as well. It may be a little bit simpler on the subject of desire. Would you like to jump in, Jack,
Sure.
about desire?
I think desire is the motivation, what motivates them to do. But here's how you determine the motivation. You determine the motivation by getting to their why. Why do they want to make gifts to any nonprofit? What is the motivation? Maybe they want to see the world a better place. Maybe they want some recognition. Maybe they want their name on a building as part of a capital campaign. So understand their why. That's what desire is all about. What's their why for making a gift?
Yeah. So thank you for all your questions about the Madden test. I wanted to also highlight something that our Fundraising Academy technical lead, Faith, has dropped in the chat. She's dropped in a link to our online learning portal that has more about the Madden test and worksheets and questions you can ask your donors in the chat. So I encourage you to check that all out. And then to move us along, I have one more question before we go into our next tools. Is any suggestions for an exercise or ways to ask board members for referrals? So Jack, if you have a few prospecting questions, tips for like prompts that will help them think of the right people, and then we'll move on to our next tools.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, that's a great question. So how do we get our board members to help with referrals or circles of influence, or even the Madden test? So one of the things that I used to do, I worked at a large hospital in Los Angeles, and it was early in my career. I was around foundations and corporations. That's what I was raising money for. So one of the things that I would do, and this actually happened to me, is I would circulate at board meetings, not only the names of corporations and foundations, their boards of directors, or who the decision maker was in the corporation. I would send out a note at the board meeting saying, here are the specific foundation directors of a specific foundation. And from that, I was able to uncover a board member's or a donor, you could do it with donors, circle of influence. What happened to me once when I worked at this hospital in Los Angeles is I was trying to get a gift from a very large foundation, and I circled that list of their board members, their staff, the program officers of the foundation. And one of my board members raised his hand and he said, you know what? My wife plays golf with the woman that is on this list. In other words, he said, I will talk to my wife and she can introduce you to this foundation board member. From that, just sending that list out in my board meeting, I received a $250,000 grant because of that connection, that circle of influence, that referral that was made as a result. So guys, definitely, and with individuals as well, circulate the names of potential prospects as they relate to major giving individuals, corporations, people who are making the decisions at corporations, as well as the program staff and board at foundations. That's a really great tool to use. Referrals and of course circles of influence.
Yeah,
hope that
hopefully
answers
that helps. Yeah, I was just I
Yeah.
hope that answers your question, Bethany. And again, there are many tools on referrals and centers and influence and potential questions to ask your board members on our online learning portal. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into our next section of tools, which is about presentations. Take it
Yes.
away, Jack.
So what are we talking about when we're talking about presentation? So now I have this potential prospect by the name of John Smith, who I am going to meet with and present my cause. So what are the essential tools that I have to have in my toolkit to make a very effective presentation to Mr. and Mrs. John Smith, to Mr. and Mrs. Smith? Okay, so here are some elements that are really important. The first is the essentials. And why I use this as a toolkit is that you, as a fundraiser or as a PR person for your organization, you should have these essentials in your toolkit. What are the essentials? You have to know your mission. You have to have a really clear understanding of the mission of your organization. If it's the Ronald McDonald House in St. John's, Newfoundland, you have to understand the mission of the Ronald McDonald House. you have to also understand what is the work that you perform at the Ronald McDonald House. You have to understand the size and the scope of the work that you do. You have to understand the reach of that specific Ronald McDonald House. And you know what? I know Heather's on this webinar. I would venture to guess that that Ronald McDonald House in Newfoundland is probably for the whole province of Newfoundland in Canada, but I could be wrong. So you have to understand the reach of your organization. The other thing that you would want to have is an understanding of the finances. What are the uses of money? How do you get revenue for Ronald McDonald House? How do you allocate donations for Ronald McDonald House? Is it for meals for the parents who are staying there? What is the allocation that you use at Ronald McDonald House? The third tool, which is really an important tool, is legitimacy. Why? This is the why, and how does your organization represent something that is worthwhile for their time, the donor or the prospect's time, effort, and the money required? This is really an important tool. And honestly, guys, I got to tell you, very few fundraisers understand the legitimacy of why they are doing what they do and how their organization represents something that is worthy of financial support. So get that tool into your toolkit. Depth. This includes the type of work done. What is the type of work that Ronald McDonald House does? What is the amount of research that is required to do that work? Not specifically with Ronald McDonald, but it might be some other nonprofit. The number of programs. What are the programs that you have at your specific nonprofit? You have to understand each of those programs, because if someone comes to you and you're all prepared to do a presentation on your homeless shelter, and they suddenly switch the conversation to another program, you have to be prepared to pivot pretty quickly and effortlessly. So you have to understand the number of issues that your organization faces, the people affected by your organization, and finally, impact. What is the impact change that your organization is addressing when they address the problem? How successful is it so far? Now, here's something that I always like to say around impact. And I see this over and over again on websites and in nonprofit organizations. They'll put up something like, last year we housed 23,000 homeless people. I don't really consider that an effective impact statement. Yeah, you're a big organization, but look at it from the perspective of the donor. Will my $25 gift or $250 gift really have that significant impact on 25,000 people who were sheltered by the homeless? The most effective tool that you have to determine impact is storytelling. Telling the story of that one homeless family that you helped move to permanent housing. So it's really important, whether it's Habitat for Humanity or any nonprofit that you could think of, a hospital or Ronald McDonald House, is telling the story of that one grateful patient or that one family that you helped in your program. It's a really way more effective way, and that's a tool. So once you get all of this information, and it may take some time, mission statements and financial information, that should be readily available to you. Most organizations have that really on hand. Impact may not be so simple to convey to donors in a way that presents a call to action. And I think I gave you an example of what I think, and I want to hear from you guys, how you present impact. really important. Go to chat. Tell me how you present your impact and what has worked effectively for you. You have to be able in your presentation with these elements to present a complete picture of what your organization does. And you will be equipped to answer questions in a genuine and straightforward way when you get these tools together. Tool really effective. And
Awesome.
I like
Jack,
to
I'm
hear
going to
from you
interrupt
guys. Go
you.
ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say this is a perfect time because I have a question in the chat about impact. And I think it's so wonderful and worthwhile that we are going over these tools for presentations in an elementary way so that we can continue to make sure that we as fundraisers are effective in our work. So the impact question I have from the chat comes from Lorena. Hi, Lorena. Nice to see you here on the webinar. And she asks, is an impact different between a corporate prospect and an individual prospect? That's very interesting. So what, Jack, are your thoughts on sharing impact and that storytelling you talked about between corporate and individual?
Wow, that is a great question. And I'm not sure I have a great answer. Here's the thing. It was Lorraine or who
Lorena, yes.
Lorena. Okay, here's what you got to do. When you're discovering and meeting with your corporate, ask them that question. One of the things that I love about our work is we can ask the question, what matters more to you as it relates to impact? Is it all the whole numbers of the things that we did in our homeless shelter last year? Or is it the story of one family? So one of the tools, a great tool that we have is we can ask questions. And that is how I would answer that question. Now, some individuals, they may be interested in the fact that your homeless shelter served 25,000 people last year with temporary housing, or that you have an abuse shelter where you house women and children, 12 families, whatever it is. Or you at Ronald McDonald House, you're able to house 5 families or 25 families. Some people will be interested in that as opposed to what you did over the course of the whole year. I could say from my perspective, what matters for me, impact, is the story, that hero of your nonprofit who you helped move through from homelessness to having a house to finding a job, whatever it is you've done. I like to say impact. If my $250 gift to say Catholic Charities or Jewish Community and Family Services enabled you to house a family for a month, a family of 4 in some homeless shelter that you have, then I'm feel good about that. I know the impact of my $250 gift.
I'd like to highlight a few things Jack mentioned in his storytelling. So Lorena and all those on the call, we hope that these tools build upon one another. Jack began our webinar by sharing that it is the cause selling cycle, which I like to always share with everyone. It is cyclical. So we talked about referrals, centers of influence, the Madden test, going through all what the acronym Madden means. We ended with need, and I think you can use a lot of those discovering questions to determine the best way to tell the story of impact, Lorena. So I think that as you go through the cause selling cycle, you may answer your own questions. I wanted to also share a couple other nuggets of wisdom from the chat that may help answer this question for us. Kind of finding good client stories. Denise actually mentioned in a really honest way that she struggles with finding good client stories and getting introductions. Numbers served or data is easier. Sharing thank you messages or quotes from client surveys is also a good way to share impact. So I think that's a great way to pivot. If maybe you only have some numbers to share impact with your donors, that's a great start. Maybe that's something that contributes to their need. And then as you go along, you can share more personal stories. And then one other note that I see in the chat is that Rudy mentions, I feel like organizations that fundraisers and foundations and individuals can all get stuck in is people respond more to stories than data, or data is typically presented through stories. So we want to make sure that we can combine all those things to help our prospects understand the impact.
Yeah.
It can be a combo. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
Yeah, let me tell you a couple things about that first question. Their inability to get stories from program staff. So I worked in healthcare philanthropy. I worked in social services. The most effective storytellers, way more than Jack. I know this is going to be hard for you to believe, because after knowing me for 45 minutes, I certainly have a good story to tell. The most effective storytellers in donor presentations were program staff, doctors, nurses, social workers. That's number one. So use them, invite them if they have the time to join you. The second problem that we see with program staff inability to give us the information or help us with the stories is they don't understand what a culture of philanthropy is. And maybe you need to do some training at general meetings about the importance of fundraising in advancing the mission and the role that every single person in your organization plays in fundraising and advancing the mission. The most effective fundraisers in my career was a physician who was in charge of a neonatal intensive care unit and got an $800,000 gift when I was expecting to receive a $500,000 gift. Or a social worker at Jewish Community and Family Services who told the story of anti-gang initiatives she was working on in the Oakland community in the East Bay of Northern California. So use them. They could tell stories much more effectively. And when you invite them to be part of the presentation as one of your tools in this presentation and getting to the Ask Next, which we're going to talk about, they become invested in your work as a fundraiser. So don't forget to invite them and use them.
And
anything
I love
else
that.
in chat before I go on?
Yes, the last thing I'll note in chat before we go to the next section of tools is some notes in the chat. And I see some great collaboration going on in here, so definitely feel free to check that out for all of our listeners. We have Natasha, who mentions we host a behind the scenes tour that highlights specific programs with stories told from our leadership that serves our constituents. I also note that someone mentioned someone who's mentioning a donor salon similar to that for some of our programs. So I love that idea.
I love that idea
of buying and like having your donors involved, or in a behind the scenes or a mock program to kind of showcase exactly what your organization is doing, so that they can really understand how their philanthropic support is really encouraging the community in different ways. So I'll leave it at that, and check out the chat if you have a chance to, but I'll let Jack go on to our next section of tools.
Yeah. Well, so one of the key tools that you have is your presentation style. And I'm going to briefly go over 3 presentation styles that we talk about in the cause selling cycle. And I'll tell you which one I like the best for me. The one I like for me may not be the one that works best for you. So the first presentation style is the memorized presentation tool. This is where you memorize your presentation. But here's an important caveat I want to give you. Don't sound robotic. Okay? That's what I'm trying to do right now. Don't sound robotic. It's really important for you to have a free flowing conversation style when you memorize your presentation. The other presentation, and guess what, guys? This is my favorite for Jack, and that's the outlined presentation. I like to outline my presentation and say to myself, I'm going to hit these really important points in my presentation. And that's a really important tool. And sometimes, and you don't have to be worried about doing this, you may bring some outline notes with you. Donors will be okay with that. The final presentation, which I think is really a hard presentation, is an impromptu presentation. This is where you follow the same principles as the other presentations, but you know your cause so much, so well, You have all those key presentation elements that I just spoke of. You have that down. You can recite your mission. You can recite your values and vision. This works. And I want to tell you something many times, and I want you to say in chat, I have had to do an impromptu presentation. I've been at a gala, a fundraising gala for a hospital, and someone out of the blue walks up to me and says, what are you guys doing for behavioral health with adolescents? This is where you bring that impromptu presentation. What do you know about behavioral health as it relates to adolescents? So when you follow these tools, when you know the essentials of your organization. Now, I know I look like I might be a doctor. I'm not a doctor. So I can't really know about every single program in the hospital. And trust me, I don't. But I do know something that you could say in an impromptu presentation when someone gets you at an event where you're totally not ready to give any presentation and ask you a question. Here's a tool that you could use. You know what? I really don't know. I need to do my homework on this. Can we meet sometime later to talk about this program that we have around behavioral health?
Oh, that's a great tip, Jack, about making sure that you are a good steward of information. And I want to note too, I've noted in the chat those 3 different presentation styles Jack mentioned: memorized, outlined, or impromptu. It can be a combination of these. You can use these different tools in different times. And Jana here in the chat mentions practice extemporaneous speaking or take public speaking seminars. What a great tool for fundraisers.
Yeah,
These can help you when you get corners and need to share on the spot.
I know plenty of fundraisers who join Toastmasters as a way to really perfect that presentation tool. Plus, they have fun at it. Anything else, Sarah?
No, we got a double thumbs up for Toastmasters. But yes, lots of tools on extemporaneous speaking, public speaking. Even I know other fundraisers in my circle that take improv classes or other ways to get their creativity flowing and making themselves more comfortable in various presentation styles.
Great. So now we're going to talk about some tools that we have around the ask. And the first tool that I love and I want to really emphasize is that be assumptive. When you enter into a conversation meeting with a prospect, have a positive expectation for success. You are assuming, and you must assume, this is a powerful tool, that you will leave with a gift in hand. And I'll tell you, this has worked for me over and over. And my attitude towards the asking of the gift really comes through. And one of the most important tools I have is to be assumptive. And when you speak with an assumptive attitude as a good tool, it's going to come through. And that's number one. The second is I go to an ask with the ability to provide a summary of the benefits giving to my organization will have. One of the best asking techniques and tools is to summarize the major points made during the presentation, which we just went over, right before they ask. Review the benefits of the offering, the asking that you are giving, with emphasis on the points that generated the most interest. Back to that word interest, okay? This method is especially good with prospects who need to explain their decision to someone else, such as a spouse or a family member or other influencer. So the third tool, and I can't emphasize this one enough, is directly ask for the gift. There used to be this saying in fundraising, some really mediocre fundraisers do everything. They go through the Madden test. They understand their presentation tools. They have all of the essentials down. But when it comes to that critical time of asking for a gift, they fall short. They do everything right except ask. So it's really important to come out and ask. Make a straightforward request. Once you've covered all the benefits of what your organization can do and the donor's dominant buying motives, you can ask with confidence. And that is really another great tool that you have. Here's a fourth tool. Ask for a specific amount. I get this question in some cases. Pay to if we $5 and $2,000? No. Because what typically happens when you don't ask for a specific amount, but you ask for a range of gifts, they're going to probably go to the lowest number. So ask for a specific amount. This next tool is so important. And I'll tell you, so many people fail at this. One of my, I'll tell you after I tell you about the tool. It's to remain silent. Once you ask for a gift, zip it. Don't continue to talk. One of the things I used to do, really, it's really a bad technique I have in some of my classes. We would do this role playing around asking for a gift, and I would be the donor and they would ask for a gift, and they would be, I would tell them be silent, but then I would be silent. And finally, in the absence of someone talking, they sally forth and started talking. And once you do that in an ask, you've lost it, because now you're doing all the talking. Let them respond to your ask by remaining silent. If they are equivocating about the gift, remember, one of the most important tools that you have as a fundraiser is that you can stress the urgency of the need. You can stress the urgency of the need. If you're an animal shelter, guys, and you're looking for a major gift, you could stress the importance of making that gift now to prevent animals from being euthanized or whatever it is, feeding animals. All of those things bring about urgency. So emphasize the urgency. That's the final tool as we get to ask. I see lots of chat, Sarah, so share with me anything you can.
I'll only share a little bit because I think that we want to get to our tools for stewardship as well as some Q&A. But to highlight everything Jack mentioned, I've put in the chat those effective closing strategies to be assumptive, because attitude is everything. Provide a summary of benefits, directly ask for a specific amount, and remain silent and stress the urgency of the need. So all of these things, again, highlighting as part of the cause selling cycle, should be the next logical step after you have gone through referrals and provided a wonderful presentation and a clear ask. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it to Jack for the end of our cycle, and then we'll move into Q&A to kind of go through anything that you would all like clarified on that cycle. So tools for stewardship is next.
Tools for stewardship, these are the 4 Ps, and you've probably heard these before. Prompt. Be prompt. Send a letter as soon as you receive the gift, preferably within 48 hours. When I worked for Catholic Charities, every morning I got all of the people who made an online gift to Catholic Charities, and I sent the same email over and over again. Thank you for your gift to Catholic Charities. You will receive a more formal recognition for your gift for IRS purposes, but I wanted to be the first to thank you. That was the content of my email. I went on to say, if you have any questions about Catholic Charities, our mission, our work, or our programs, please do not hesitate to contact me via email at this email address or by calling me at this number. That is prompt thank yous, and I love prompt thank yous. The second is personalized. You know what? When people send me, dear friend, thank you for your gift, guess what? I'm not your friend. I've got plenty of friends. Sarah and Faith are my good friends. Those two are enough for any guy. So I will say, personalize it. And make sure when you personalize it correctly. There's nothing worse than a donor receiving a thank you letter with an incorrect name or an incorrect spelling of their name or whatever. So personalize it and make sure it's accurate. Be passionate. Be passionate. Warmly convey gratitude and explain how the funds will be used. That's impact, guys. And be prompt about their contribution. It's also useful to tell happy ending stories and provide specific examples. Here's the thing about a thank you letter, a mistake that I made. Make sure it's accurate, guys. Make sure you're passionate. If they gave you a gift for women's health, then thank them for women's health and talk about the impact. A mistake that I've made in my career is thanking them for a different program at the hospital. And guess what? They call me up and say, Jack, my gift was not meant for oncology or behavioral health. It was meant for women's health. So make sure you do that gratitude and explain how the funds were to be used as they instructed you to use them. Finally, be positive. Make your donors smile. Make them feel glad that they gave and feel proud of the organization and the contribution they've made to you. So those are the 4 P's, and there are some caveats in there as well. Create loyal donors. How do you create loyal donors? Well, as part of the stewardship, here are some tools. The first tool that you have to create a loyal donor is to think like a donor. Step into their thought processes. You know how you could think like a donor? The way you could think like a donor is to be a donor to your own organization. If you want to know what it feels like to be a donor to your organization, then make a gift to your organization. Really important. The second tool you have is say thank you like you mean it. Don't send the same template email for every thank you note. Yeah, you could take some things out of that template that you create as a thank you, but make sure you personalize it. Put some things in it. Make sure that the letter feels like it's coming from you. Say thank you like you mean it. Here's the most important thing that I am going to say as it relates to this slide. Treat everyone like a major donor. And there are many reasons why you should do that. Treat everyone like a major donor. Number one, because they think they're a major donor. If they make a gift of $25, that's a major gift to them. It may not be a major gift for your organization. It may be a major gift from them. I like to say that when I worked at faith-based organizations, people would send me 2 $1 bills in an envelope. And I was so astonished by that. And the notes that they wrote to me felt so wonderful. They would write notes that I'm 92 years old, and this is all I could afford as this $5 bill or this $2 bill. Guess what, guys? That was a major gift for them. And I treated them like a major gift, as if they had made a $10,000 or $100,000 gift. So treat everyone like a major donor. It's really important. So now I'm going to quickly summarize and tell you that if you want to, your tool is your most important tool that you had. I said it at the beginning of this workshop, at this seminar, is plan. Plan for effective meetings. Make plans. Donor, one of the things I like to talk about is creating solicitation plans for each of your individual donors and then follow it. Increase your productivity to ultimately raise more money, and remember to really treat everyone like a major donor. So I'm going to skip this slide here just for time. It's 5 minutes after the hour. Let's take some questions. And
Yeah.
I see chat is lit up to the high heavens. It's like a Christmas tree.
We love it. We love all of the engagement and the wonderful tools that everyone has shared in the chat, as well as Jack has shared in the presentation. I'll even note one that I saw popping up, that email merges are a great stewardship tool. We encourage folks to use them to attend events. So Kate mentions that there are ways to use your technology in personalization as well. So I think that's a really great tip. So definitely check out the chat. I have our wonderful technical wizards over here at Fundraising Academy. Faith is going to be compiling all the great things in the chat for our listeners today and to be used in the future. So just wanted to highlight that for everyone. But as you are thinking about this presentation, I wanted to make sure to note for all of you that you'll also receive a copy of this presentation. Think through your questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A chat. Q&A or chat, and I will, share them with Jack. But you will be receiving a copy of the presentation slides as well as the recording, and then we will work on that third element of making sure that everyone has access to the wonderful resources you shared with one another. So, as you all put some questions and comments in the chat, I wanted to make sure to remind our guests that they're also going to be able to share a recording of this webinar on our online learning portal. So if there are folks who did not register from your organization that you want to make sure they get to see this wonderful chat with us, you can make sure to point them to our online learning portal as well. So with all of that housekeeping out of the way, I'd like to share a question that we got from Jarek, who I believe was one of our newer fundraisers on this call. Welcome, Jarek. As a beginner, they asked, how long do I have to make my pitch to a potential prospect? Oh, it's a great question as a new fundraiser. You want to take that, Jack?
Sure. I mean, here we go back to this, as you have conversations with your donors before you even make the pitch or the presentation, you're going to discover so much about them. I've learned so much about people, but cost selling is a relationship building model. Build that relationship before you even make the pitch. As you build that relationship, you're going to learn how long their patience might last. And there are so many things that we talk about in like body language is one thing. If they're fidgeting in their chair, you know that you've gone too long. If they're rolling their eyes or they're looking at their watch, which is or they're looking
at their phone at the time.
Yeah, all of those kinds of things are going to be clues that maybe you've gone too long. Some people want to get to the point. I've gone on presentations. I had this beautiful presentation planned, and I was going to say all this stuff about the work that we do. And eventually they just said, you know what? I have to have lunch in 10 minutes. Get to the point. Tell me what you want, Jack, and move straight to that. And that's really important to do that, to understand that. Here's the thing I love to say about cause selling. It's such a beautiful relationship building model of fundraising. Build relationships. That's the way you get to gifts. And we build relationships by asking questions and listening to their answers. It's true building a relationship with your spouse, your children, your teachers, whoever it is. Smart people who want to build relationships, ask open-ended questions, and then they listen.
Yeah, I think that's great advice for anyone, whether you're new to fundraising or a seasoned fundraiser. Jarek, I love your question about how long you have to make your pitch. I think that can be different for every different prospect, and learning about relationship-driven fundraising with the tools that we have here at Fundraising Academy and our no-cost online learning portal can really help you explore that as a new fundraiser or new to your organization. I have a next question for our group, and for those who do need to hop to another meeting, we're so glad that you are have been able to join us and share your wisdom. But we'll continue with the Q&A for those who are able to stay till the 12:30 Pacific time. But I have a question from Natasha, who asks, do you have suggestions on how to motivate board members who feel like they have maxed out their networks for referrals? How do you motivate board members, Jack?
That's a great question. But here's what I like to say with organizations and board members. The first thing I would do at the beginning of every fiscal year is to create a board member agreement. In that agreement, they are going to tell you, Natasha, did you say what's her name?
Yes, Natasha has asked this question of us.
They're going to articulate to you how many contacts, how many referrals, who they know at corporations, what their annual gift will be. If you have a gala, will they buy a table? How many people will they introduce you to from their circle of influence or from their network? So start with that board agreement that you create, what committee they will serve on. And if you guys Google board commitment form or whatever, or if you send me an email at jalato@nu.edu, I'll send you an example of that. So you want to create that agreement and then follow through. Now, if as the year progresses, you want even more information, be cognizant that they said that, let's say they were going to say, I'm going to introduce you to 5 key potential donors to the organization in my circle. Then be accepting of that's where they are. Be grateful. If you need to find additional prospects, I really urge you, none of members, go to the and say, it's really.
Hold on, Jack. We'll stop you there real quick because you're coming in and out of audio. So speak just a tad slower.
Okay. How is this better?
All right. That sounds good.
One of the things that we talked about early on was Rosso's concentric circles. Not only board members should be making referrals or introducing you to their center of influence, ask your major donors, ask your volunteers also to help you with referrals. A major donor, especially a loyal donor, even at a lower giving level, someone who's made a gift to your organization, $25 a year for 5 years, ask them, do you know anyone in your circle of influence who might be interested in making a gift and joining with you in this cause? So be sure to definitely go to others besides your board members. Go to your major donors, go to your volunteers, go to a lot of people out there who could help you.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful tip, Jack, that not only board members are folks who have circles of influence. And the other note I will share with Natasha is that in that, widening of your scope and thinking through who you can ask for referrals and feeling like some folks may be maxed out, you may think of, some of your major donors may be future board members. Maybe there are volunteers who may be wanting to join your board or something that is part of your overall strategy to get them to join the board in the next 5-10 years. So those are all different ways to engage the different constituents that really care for your organization.
Yeah.
So
think about it this way, Natasha. Think about it this way. A major donor already believes in your mission.
Right.
Your vision, your values. They're already invested. They're investors in your organization. They've already made a commitment. You're just asking them to share that commitment with those people who might also be interested in your organization. You're inviting them to invest even further in your mission, your vision, and your values by giving you referrals.
Yeah. And then the last note, I will share another resource that our Fundraising Academy tech supporter Faith has put in the chat, is that if you are very interested as a fundraiser and you're on this webinar thinking about tools that you can use specific to your board members, we do have a recording of another webinar specific on this topic called Supercharge Your Fundraising Board, which is available on our online learning portal at the link in the chat. Where if you are focused as a strategic part of your plan this year in 2023 to get your board supercharged, that is a great resource for you as well.
It's funny that you mentioned Supercharge Your Board with our colleague Hannah Berger. I just recently watched that in early January.
There you go. I love rewatching it.
Yeah, it's really a good webinar. And actually, you'll find some other webinars from me up there. There are blogs. It's mylearningportal.org. There's other webinars, especially if you still need some continuing education credits for your CFRE or for any just learning. It's just
any resource. Yeah, so leave this slide up for folks. The link is down there, and it is also no cost to you, all of our guests here. You can sign up for no registration fee at all and share this with your colleagues at your organization.
Let me say one other thing. There are 2 webinars on there that particularly like, and it's 10 epic fails. And I will tell you guys that I've made those 10 epic fundraising fails and another 150. So go check out those 10 epic fundraising fails, because we all do it. It's part of our work to fail, but we learn from what we fail at and we do better. And that's really
Yep.
exciting for me.
And I think that's a wonderful way to kind of showcase the portal in all of its glory. So our online learning portal, not only does it have all of the key information about the cause selling cycle that we introduced all of you to at the top of this webinar, where you can get more information about referrals, you can get more information about 10 epic fails and how to overcome them, sample donor questions about how you can prompt your major gift donors or prompt your prospects on discovering their needs. Lots of wonderful educational tools in there, but it's also a great way to build community. So you'll notice that there are recordings of all of these monthly webinars in which we share tools and tips and wonderful knowledge from a variety of presenters. And we always encourage you to connect with those presenters on LinkedIn or
Yep.
send us an email and really create that community. It's been such a pleasure to watch all of you create community in the chat today. It was an incredibly engaging webinar, and I hope that all of you see some friendly names and faces in 2023 on our webinars that we do every single month on Wednesday, on typically the third Wednesday of the month. I'm going to go ahead and also put in the chat how to find out about those webinars.
Yeah.
There is a link that you can share with everyone at your organization about where to get these webinars, where to register for them, and hopefully bring your colleagues, bring your friend, that we may also create community with more folks at your organization. It's been such a wonderful way to see all of you joining from everywhere in the country. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure there aren't any questions, but go ahead, Jack.
If there are questions, we want to answer them because we still have 12 minutes. I'm happy to answer any questions about anything. It doesn't only have to be about this presentation. I will say this, these webinars, I have to thank Sarah and Faith, who is hiding behind our logo. She's hiding behind that Fundraising Academy logo. You probably see that FA with the hand and the heart. It's just beautiful. But we're going to have to get Faith live and doing that with us next time. She's the person who is putting all those great links up there along with Sarah, and we appreciate that. And guys, I want to tell you something. I love the people who are on this webinar, and I love the work that you do. When you are better at fundraising, you know what happens? All boats rise. If you work in animal shelter or at a hospital or in social services or in the arts, when you are better at raising money, my world is better, Sarah's world is better, and even the hidden faith, her world is better as well.
All right, I don't see any questions that are general, but I do want to just note, since we did go over that last slide that we're going to ask, what management tools you will use to enhance your fundraising efforts. I want to just kind of open the floor, since we have such a wealth of knowledge here in our room. If you wanted to share any additional tools after hearing the presentation, that is open discussion as well.
Yeah.
But let's see, we have some thanks, Jack and Sarah, for the great webinar. We have some folks who had to hop to other calls. We are, lots of thank yous from our wonderful audience today. Well, thank you, audience members. Thank you all for being here and for sharing your knowledge with us, for not only sharing your wonderful questions, but for sharing your tools and tips. I think, like Jack mentioned, we are better together, and we are so excited to have all of you who joined us for the webinar today and continue to be part of our Fundraising Academy community. We love learning with you. We love learning from you. And Jack, I'm so glad that you have some friendly names on here from your CFRE study group. We've got another thank you for the great tips to be successful in our work, Carissa. I know Carissa is a Fundraising Academy cohort alumna, so thank you for joining us, staying part of our community, Carissa. Any other questions? I think, Jack, you've done such a great job. I don't see any questions. I see a lot of thank yous in the chat.
So I will say to everyone, Happy New Year. You can still say that until the end of the month. And thank you for attending. I loved it. And thanks, Sarah. And again, thank you, Faith. So stay well, guys.
All right. Thank you. I think we'll give everyone the gift of time at the end. I want to just, again, thank you all and hope that we see you more in the future in 2023 in more of these webinars. And I'd like to thank Jack actually publicly here before we all go for being our wonderful presenter, kicking off 2023 with some great management tools for fundraisers of all levels, and hope that you are all safe, healthy, and well. And we will see you next month, everybody.
Yes. Peace and love, people.